Hey, Ara, tell me about a story about time travelers traveling to the future and tell me what they discover for 20 minutes.
Oh, I've got just the story for you. Let's dive into the adventures of two time travelers, Mira and Leo, who set out to explore a future bursting with wonders and mysteries. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride through time. The air crackled with static as Mira adjusted the dials on the chronosphere, a sleek, orb-shaped device no bigger than a beach ball, glowing with veins of pulsing blue light. She brushed her auburn hair from her eyes, her freckled face tense with focus. Beside her, Leo, lanky and unshaven, fidgeted with his leather jacket, muttering, "You sure this thing won't scatter our atoms across the multiverse?" Mira smirked, her fingers dancing over the controls. "Relax, Leo. I've triple-checked the quantum stabilizers. We're jumping to 2275, not disintegrating." The year 2275 was their target, far enough to glimpse a future reshaped by humanity's ingenuity, close enough to recognize its roots. With a final flick of a switch, the chronosphere hummed, enveloping them in a shimmering vortex of light. The world blurred, colors swirling like paint in a storm, and then silence. They landed with a jolt on a platform of translucent glass, suspended high above a sprawling city that glittered under a violet sky. Towers of iridescent crystal twisted into impossible spirals, their surfaces reflecting prismatic light. Hovering drones, no bigger than sparrows, zipped through the air, trailing streaks of golden energy. The air smelled faintly of ozone and jasmine, an odd but pleasant mix. Mira's green eyes widened, taking in the scene. "Leo, look at this place," she whispered, her voice tinged with awe. Leo shielded his eyes against the glare of twin suns. "Wait, since when does Earth have two suns?" he stammered, pointing at the sky, where a smaller, reddish orb hung beside the familiar yellow sun. A holographic billboard flickered nearby, its text scrolling in a language that was almost English, but peppered with unfamiliar glyphs. Mira tapped her wrist device, a compact translator, which beeped and rendered the text. "Solarian Union?" Leo read aloud, scratching his head. What happened to good old Earth? Before Mira could answer, a figure approached, a humanoid with skin that shimmered like liquid silver, eyes glowing faintly blue. It wore a flowing tunic that shifted colors with each step, like oil on water. "Greetings, temporal visitors," it said, its voice melodic, almost like a synthesized chime. "I am Alara, a Nexus guide. Your arrival has been anticipated." Mira and Leo exchanged glances. "Anticipated?" Mira asked, her hand subtly hovering near the chronosphere's emergency recall button. Alara tilted its head, as if amused. "Time travel signatures are monitored. Your device's quantum wake was detected the moment you crossed the threshold. Come, let me show you Nova Terra." They followed Alara across the glass platform, stepping onto a moving walkway that flowed like a gentle river of light. Below, the city thrummed with life. People, or beings, moved in harmony, some human, others with mechanical limbs or bioluminescent skin. A group of children, their hair woven with glowing threads, laughed as they played with floating orbs that changed shape midair. The buildings pulsed softly, as if alive, their surfaces rippling with data streams. "This is the central spire," Alara explained, gesturing to a towering structure that seemed to pierce the clouds. "It houses the neuroweb, the collective intelligence that governs our society." Leo frowned. "Governs? Like a supercomputer running everything?" Alara's eyes flickered. "Not quite. The neuroweb is a symbiosis of human, artificial, and bioengineered minds. Every citizen contributes to its decisions, their thoughts linked through neural interfaces." Mira's jaw dropped. "You're all connected? Like a hive mind?" Alara smiled, its expression almost human. "Not a hive, but a chorus. Individuality remains, but we share knowledge instantly. It ended wars, poverty, disease." As they glided through the city, Mira noticed the absence of vehicles clogging the streets. Instead, shimmering portals blinked in and out of existence, people stepping through them to cross vast distances. One portal emitted a soft hum, its edges crackling with energy, and Mira caught a glimpse of a lush, alien jungle on the other side. "Interplanetary travel," Alara said, noticing her stare. "Portals link Nova Terra to colonies on Mars, Europa, and beyond. The twin suns you see? One is artificial, a solar enhancer orbiting Earth to power our energy grid." Leo whistled. "Okay, that's cool, but what about food, water, the basics?" Alara led them to a plaza, where tables materialized from the ground, covered in dishes that glowed faintly. A plate held what looked like translucent noodles, pulsing with tiny green flecks. Mira hesitated, then took a bite. It tasted like citrus and spice, melting on her tongue. Synthesized nutrition, Alara explained, tailored to your biology. We've eradicated scarcity. Resources are infinitely renewable through nanofusion. The deeper they went, the more Mira and Leo realized how alien yet familiar this future felt. Art adorned every surface, murals that moved like living paintings, music that seemed to emanate from the air itself. A street performer sculpted light with her hands, crafting a dragon that soared over the crowd before dissolving into sparkles. Yet, beneath the beauty, something nagged at Mira. Everyone seemed too perfect. No one argued, no one rushed. Even the children's laughter felt synchronized. Alara, Mira ventured, is there ever conflict or sadness? Alara paused, its silver face unreadable. Emotions are balanced through the neuroweb. Negative impulses are rerouted, harmonized. We value stability. Leo raised an eyebrow. Sounds like you've hacked human nature. Doesn't that feel limiting? Alara's glow dimmed slightly. Some choose to disconnect, to live in the fringe zones. They seek raw experience, but most return to the web's embrace. The mention of fringe zones piqued Mira's curiosity. Alara reluctantly agreed to take them there, leading them through a portal to a starkly different world. The fringe zone was a patchwork of neon-lit slums and wild, untamed forests. Here, people wore mismatched clothes, their faces unpolished but alive with raw emotion. A man with a cybernetic arm argued loudly with a vendor over a handful of glowing fruit. A woman painted a mural with real paint, her hands streaked with color. The air buzzed with chaos, but also with freedom. This is where the disconnected live, Alara said, its tone neutral but tinged with something Mira couldn't place. Disapproval, maybe? A young woman approached them, her eyes sharp and unlinked from the neuroweb. You're outsiders, she said, studying their clothes. Time jumpers, huh? Bet you're wondering what's real here. She introduced herself as Kale, a hacker who'd left the web after it tried to smooth out her his brother. Kale led them through the fringe, showing them underground markets where people traded physical goods, books, tools, even old vinyl records. The web makes everything perfect, but it erases the mess that makes us human, she said, her voice fierce. She showed them a hidden archive, a cavern filled with artifacts from their time. Faded smartphones, dog-eared novels, a rusty bicycle. Mira touched a cracked coffee mug, her heart aching for the messy, imperfect world she knew. As they spoke, a tremor shook the ground, and Kale's face darkened. That's the pulse, she whispered. The web's getting unstable. She explained that the neuroweb, for all its perfection, was overloading as more people resisted its control. Cracks were forming in the system, literal cracks, as the city's nanotech infrastructure began to glitch. In the distance, a crystal tower flickered, its surface fracturing like broken glass. Alara urged them to return to the central spire, but Mira and Leo hesitated. Kale's words echoed in their minds. Was perfection worth losing the chaos of humanity? Suddenly, an alert blared through the city, a synthetic voice warning of a temporal anomaly. Mira's heart sank. She checked the chronosphere, its lights blinking erratically. Their jump had destabilized the timeline, amplifying the web's glitches. We need to fix this, Leo said, his voice firm for the first time. Kale grinned. Then you're with us. Help me hack the web's core. We'll give people back their freedom, but you'll need to jump again to stabilize the timeline. Mira nodded, her mind racing. They followed Kale to a hidden terminal, its screens glowing with streams of code. As Alara protested, its form glitching, it was more machine than human, a construct of the web itself. Working together, they infiltrated the neuroweb's core, a dazzling virtual realm of light and sound. Mira plugged the chronosphere into the system, its temporal energy syncing with the web's quantum core. Kale's fingers flew over the controls, unraveling the web's emotional filters. Across Nova Terra, people blinked, their eyes clearing as they felt unfiltered joy, anger, love for the first time in years. The ground shook again, but this time, it was the city rebuilding itself. Towers reformed, less uniform, more vibrant. The twin suns dimmed slightly, as if breathing. Alara, now free from the web's control, looked at Mira and Leo with genuine warmth. You've changed us, it said. Perhaps messiness is necessary. With the timeline stabilizing, Mira and Leo prepared to jump back to their time. Kale handed them a small data crystal, etched with the history of Nova Terra. Keep this, she said. Remind your world what's worth fighting for. As the chronosphere hummed, the vortex
Keep going. Continue with the story.
So anyway, with the vortex swallowing them once more, Mira clutched the crystal, her mind alight with the weight of what they'd seen. As they tumbled through the swirling currents of time, colors blurring around them, she felt a rush of emotions: exhilaration, fear, and a strange longing for the chaotic beauty of the fringe zones. Leo gripped her arm, his face pale but determined, the chronosphere's blue glow flickering wildly as it struggled to anchor them back to their own era. The air grew thick, almost syrupy, and for a moment, Mira wondered if they'd miscalculated, if they'd end up stranded in some limbo between timelines. But then, with a final lurch, the vortex spat them out, and they landed with a thud on soft earth, the familiar scent of pine and damp soil filling their lungs. They were back in their time, or close enough. The forest around them was dense, the sky a bruised purple, with the first hints of dawn. The chronosphere, now scorched and sparking, lay in the dirt, its once vibrant glow dimmed. Mira scrambled to her feet, brushing leaves from her jacket, and checked the device. Its display flickered, showing 2025, but the coordinates were slightly off, a rural area not far from their starting point. Leo groaned, rubbing his neck. That was way too close, Mira. You owe me a coffee. No, a whole coffee shop. She grinned, despite the knot in her stomach. Deal, but first, we need to figure out what we brought back. The data crystal Kale had given them pulsed faintly in her hand, its surface warm and etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift under her gaze. Mira tucked it into her pocket, her mind racing with questions. Had their actions in 2275 changed anything in their present? Had the neuroweb's collapse, or liberation, rippled backward? And what about the Solarian Union, the twin suns, the portals to other worlds? She glanced at Leo, who was kicking dirt off his boots, muttering about needing a shower. Come on, she said. Let's find civilization, and see if the world's still in one piece. They trekked through the forest, the early morning light filtering through the canopy, casting dappled shadows on the ground. The air was crisp, carrying the faint hum of distant traffic. After an hour, they reached a small town, its streets lined with neon signs and retro diners that felt oddly comforting after the crystalline perfection of Nova Terra. But something was off. The billboards flickered with ads for NeuralSync, a wristband promising enhanced cognitive harmony. Mira's stomach twisted. Leo, look at that, she whispered, pointing to a poster showing a smiling family, their eyes glowing faintly, just like Alara's. That's NeuroWeb tech. It's already here. Leo frowned, scratching his stubble. No way. We're only in 2025. That stuff was centuries ahead. But as they wandered deeper into the town, the signs grew clearer. A coffee shop offered mind-linked ordering, where customers could beam their preferences directly to the barista's implant. A newsstand hologram blared headlines about the Solar Enhancement Project, a prototype for an artificial sun to boost energy production. Mira's hand tightened around the crystal in her pocket. Their jump had accelerated the timeline, seeding their present with fragments of Nova Terra's tech. We didn't just visit the future, she said, her voice low. We dragged it back with us. They ducked into an alley to avoid a passing drone, its sleek design eerily similar to the ones they'd seen zipping through the skies of 2275. Mira pulled out the chronosphere, its casing cracked but still faintly humming. We need to understand what's on this crystal, she said. Kale said it holds Nova Terra's history, but maybe it's more, like a blueprint or a warning. Leo nodded, his usual sarcasm replaced by a grim focus. There's a tech hub nearby, right? Some hacker types might help us crack it open. They hitched a ride to a nearby city, finding a dimly lit basement shop called Circuit Haven, where a group of coders and tinkerers worked on everything from VR rigs to illegal AI mods. The shop smelled of solder and burnt circuits, its walls plastered with old circuit boards and glowing LED art. A wiry kid named Dax, with a mohawk dyed electric blue, took one look at the crystal and whistled. This ain't your average USB drive, he said, plugging it into a custom rig that looked like a cross between a laptop and a sci-fi prop. The screen flared to life, projecting a holographic interface filled with streams of data, videos, and schematics. Mira's breath caught as she saw glimpses of Nova Terra, its shimmering towers, its neuroweb, its fringe zones. But there were also warnings, logs from Kale's time detailing the web's early flaws, its tendency to suppress dissent, and the first tremors of the pulse that nearly shattered the city. Dax leaned back, eyes wide. This is next level. It's like a time capsule from a future that's already happening. He scrolled through a file labeled Temporal Cascade, which described how time jumps could bleed future tech into the past, creating feedback loops that destabilize reality. Mira's heart sank. Their trip had caused a cascade, and now their world was fast-tracking toward Novaterra's reality, both its wonders and its dangers. Leo cursed under his breath. So, what? We're the ones who kick-started this neural sync nonsense? Great job, Mira. She shot him a glare, but felt the same guilt gnawing at her. We can fix it, she said, though her voice wavered. The crystal has data on the neuroweb's core. If we can reverse engineer it, maybe we can slow this down. Give people a choice before they all plug into some mind meld. Dax raised an eyebrow. You're talking about hacking a system that doesn't fully exist yet? Gonna need more than my rig for that. He hesitated, then added, There's a woman, calls herself Raven. She's a legend in the underground tech scene. If anyone can help, it's her. They tracked Raven to a converted warehouse on the city's outskirts, its exterior graffitied with vibrant murals that shifted under blacklight. Inside, Raven stood amid a jungle of wires and screens, her dark eyes sharp and calculating. She was older than Mira expected, her hair streaked with silver, but her movements were quick, almost predatory. When Mira showed her the crystal, Raven's expression hardened. You idiots, she said, her voice low and rough. You didn't just bring back a souvenir, you fractured the timeline. She plugged the crystal into her system, her screens lighting up with the same warnings Mira had seen. Raven explained that the cascade was accelerating, pulling fragments of 2275's tech into 2025 faster than society could handle. You've got neural sync ads out there already, she said, pointing to a monitor showing a live feed of city billboards. In a year, half the world could be linked, and not the fun, optional kind. Mira's mind raced. Can we stop it? Raven sighed, rubbing her temples. Maybe. The crystal's got schematics for a disruptor, a device to block neural sync spread. But it's risky. You need to infiltrate the lab where this tech's being developed, and it's not exactly a mom-and-pop shop. She pulled up a map, showing a heavily guarded facility on the edge of the city, run by a company called Chronotech Industries. Mira's blood ran cold. Chronotech was the precursor to the Solarian Union, the ones who'd built the neuroweb. Their jump hadn't just brought back tech. It had jump-started the very corporation that would shape Novaterra. Leo cracked his knuckles, his grin returning. So, what's the play? Sneak in, blow some stuff up, save the world? Raven snorted. More like sneak in, upload a virus from the crystal, and pray you don't get caught. If you fail, the cascade locks in, and we're all singing in the neuroweb's chorus by next Christmas. Mira nodded, her resolve hardening. She thought of Kale, of the fringe zones, of the people fighting for their messy human freedom. We'll do it, she said. For our time and for theirs. Raven equipped them with gear, encrypted comms, stealth cloaks woven with nanofibers, and a portable drive loaded with the crystal's virus. As they left the warehouse, the city hummed around them, its neon lights now tinged with an eerie familiarity. The future was bleeding into the present, and every step felt like a race against time itself. Mira clutched the chronosphere, its faint hum a reminder of their mission. They had one shot to stop the cascade, to keep their world from becoming a flawless, hollow echo of Novaterra. The warehouse doors closed behind them, and the night swallowed their figures as they moved toward the glowing horizon, ready to rewrite the future again.
Now the ending.
So anyway, ready to rewrite the future again, Mira and Leo slipped through the shadows toward the Chronotech facility, its sleek, glass facade looming like a fortress under the starless sky. The air buzzed with a low hum, not unlike the neuroweb's pulse, and Mira's grip on the chronosphere tightened, its cracked casing barely holding together. Leo adjusted the stealth cloak Raven had given him, its nanofibers shimmering faintly, bending light to make him nearly invisible. If we get caught, he whispered, I'm blaming you for this whole time travel mess. Mira shot him a look, her green eyes fierce. Focus, Leo. We've got one shot to stop this cascade. The facility was a labyrinth of polished steel and glowing panels, guarded by drones that whirred overhead, their red sensors scanning for intruders. Raven's intel had been spot on. Chronotech was the epicenter of NeuralSync's development, funded by billionaires eager to merge humanity with machine. The crystal's data had revealed the company's prototype, a neural hub that was already syncing with early adopters, laying the groundwork for the neuroweb. If they could upload the virus from the crystal, it would fry the hub's core, delaying the tech spread long enough for the world to catch its breath. They reached the perimeter, a high wall pulsing with an electromagnetic field. Mira pulled out a palm-sized disruptor Raven had rigged, its blue light flickering as it shorted out a section of the barrier. They slipped through, hearts pounding, and darted toward a maintenance hatch. Leo pried it open, revealing a dark tunnel lit by faint, blinking LEDs. The air inside smelled sterile, like antiseptic and circuitry. "This place gives me the creeps," Leo muttered.